So today we're taking a look at the Arizona Coyotes and their summer report. Make sure to give this video a thumbs up and a subscribe. Check out our Instagram at Goal Line Hockey as well. Make sure to check out our playlist on the summer report series. Let's talk about the Coyotes. So the Arizona Coyotes have $178,000 left in their salary cap space. Kind of a weird spot for the Coyotes. They normally don't go up to the salary cap ceiling. They usually are around the cap floor. They're probably closer to the cap floor in terms of money spent, but in salary cap terms, they definitely are right around the ceiling. So contracts that come off the books. Carl Soderberg's $4.75 million contract, who they just acquired. He's coming off the books next year, so that's almost $5 million right there freed up. Alex Goligoski's $5.5 million comes off the books next year, so that's almost $10 million right there on two players. Nick Hjalmarsson's $5 million comes off the books next year as well, so that's $15 million there for the Arizona Coyotes to play with next year. Fortunately, they'll be spending that money right back on the players they already have because Vinny Hinostroza's contract will be up. I don't know if he'll come back to the Coyotes or the Coyotes maybe look to a guy like Fisher to kind of bump up the lineup. Lawson Krause. Clayton Keller, the big name there, will be a restricted free agent next year. Christian Fischer, like I just mentioned, he will be available. So you wonder if they decide between Hinostroza and Fisher this year. And Darcy Kemper's contract is up as well. So overall, there's a couple of things that the Coyotes have to deal with. I think the biggest, obviously, being Clayton Keller being available. You have to think they keep at least one or two of Soderberg, Goligoski, and Hjalmarsson. But we'll see what happens. The Coyotes have a year where they're hoping to make the playoffs, and there's a lot of expectations in that. So let me know what you guys think of the Arizona Coyotes. Let's take a look at the Arizona Coyotes starting night roster at this point. So thank you to Daily Faceoff. I am using their site. They always have the most accurate and easiest to read line combinations for the coming season. They're not always perfect, and I don't always agree with them, but most of the time I have to agree with them. So starting things off for the top line, you have Christian Dvorak, who may not be the guy that they were hoping he would become a couple of years ago when he was picked in the first round. But he's still a pretty good player, and he's on the top line for the Coyotes. You have Derek Stepan down the middle, a great leadership guy down the middle. If he could stay healthy, that would be great for the Coyotes. And you have Phil Kessel, the newly acquired Phil Kessel, and he'll be on the right side there. So overall, I think this is a pretty good top line. Obviously helps bringing in a guy like Phil Kessel. But I'm not sure how I like Christian Dvorak on the left side there. I don't know how great of a player he really is going to be. This will be the testament to that this season. How much more is there really left of a guy like Derek Stepan? Is he really a first-line center at this point? And I have nothing wrong to say about Phil on the top line. He's a really good player there. So I think he's a good fit for the Coyotes. Second line, you have on the right side, you have Clayton Keller, Michael Grabner on the left side, and you have Nick Schmaltz down the middle. Again, Michael Grabner, a great player. Picked him up last year in free agency. He's a good player. He's definitely going to help. But again, is he really a second-line center, a second-line winger at this point in time? He's getting older. How much more does he really have left? Clayton Keller, not the same situation there. He's a great young elite winger for the Arizona Coyotes. His contract is coming to an end next season, so he's going to be getting a big payday. And Nick Schmaltz down the middle, a great piece if he can stay healthy. That is the biggest thing for Nick Schmaltz. He didn't play much with the Coyotes last year in that trade that was made with the Chicago Blackhawks where Nick Schmaltz was brought in. He didn't play very much because he was injured. So hopefully we see the true Nick Schmaltz come to form there on the second line with the Coyotes. Things work out for him. We can only hope. Looking at the third line, you have Connor Garland, Carl Soderberg down the middle, who they did acquire from the Colorado Avalanche, and Vinny Hinostroza. So Vinny Hinostroza gets dropped out of the top six. I think that's very good for the Coyotes. Nothing against Vinny Hinostroza, but I don't think he's the top 6 player in the NHL at this point. He's a good top 9. He fits perfectly on that third line there for the Coyotes. Carl Soderberg, again, a good leadership presence down the middle. He's a very reliable center in the NHL, has been for a long time. He is getting a little overpaid, but the Coyotes don't really seem to care about that. They make it work. And Connor Garland, it's a younger guy. He can score goals. He's a little bit of a gritty guy as well. So good job there by the Coyotes, kind of keeping things. You have your defensive guy, your center, whoever that may be, and then your scoring speedy guy on the other side. So that seems to be the model the Coyotes are going with here so far. Then you got Lawson Krause, Brad Richardson, and Christian Fischer. So this is a pretty good fourth line, I have to say. I like Christian Fischer. He's a pretty good player. Again, not the kind of player that we are hoping he would become, but he still can be a pretty good player in the NHL. Brad Richardson, if he could stay healthy, he's a great leader in the room, great veteran presence for some of these younger guys. And Lawson Krause, definitely that power forward, gritty guy, can score a couple goals here and there. Not too bad of a fourth line there for the Coyotes. Looking at the defensive pairings, you have Oliver Ekman-Larsson on the left side and Jason Demers on the right side. Now, the only thing I could see maybe changing here is if the Coyotes wanted to, beef up that top 2 pairing, putting up Jacob Chychrun coming up to that grouping with Oliver Ekman-Larsson, but they have Demers and Ekman-Larsson. I think, obviously, Ekman-Larsson, I love Ekman-Larsson. I have his jersey. He's a great player there, especially for re-signing with the Coyotes. Major props to him. And Jason Demers, he's getting a little bit older. He's there's a lot of veterans on this team, which I think is good for some of these younger players, and they're looking to make the playoffs, so they need some veteran leadership to get you into the playoffs and get through the grind of a regular NHL season. Now, looking at that second pairing, you have Jacob Chychrun and Nicholas Hjalmarsson. So, again, really good pairing. Kind of, these guys can be interchangeable. I think more so Demers and Chychrun. But, Hjalmarsson, a very good stay-at-home defenseman, and Chychrun, who's kind of getting mentored by Hjalmarsson. I think that's a good pairing there in the top 4. I'm not sure Hjalmarsson at this point is a top 4 defenseman, but with the Coyotes situation, it works. On the third pair, you have Alex Goligoski on the left side and Jordan Osterley on the right side. So I like Goligoski. I think he's a pretty good top 6 defenseman. He fits well there. I'm not too sure about Jordan Osterley. He's been moved around a lot. He was with the Oilers organization, went to the Blackhawks organization, and now is moving around. He's making his way over, and now he's with the Arizona Coyotes. So he really hasn't made his stride the way teams had hoped he would, possibly in the NHL, but nonetheless, he's a good complementary piece to that top 6 defensive core. And then looking at the goaltending, you have Antti Raanta, who had a really good season last year, and Darcy Kemper. So the Coyotes, if their goaltending can be as good as last year, if not better, the Coyotes, I think, can make the playoffs. They went on a run toward the end of last year, some of their injured guys, but it wasn't enough for the Coyotes to get in. So let me know, what do you think of the Arizona Coyotes heading into next season? They're going to be one of those teams where I think the Pacific is really wide open. We know the San Jose Sharks and the Calgary Flames, I think, get in, but that third spot and possibly a wild card spot are kind of wide open. You look at the Kings, they're rebuilding. The Anaheim Ducks, they're rebuilding. What did the Edmonton Oilers look like for next season? The Coyotes, where are they? So it's definitely a pretty open division there. Obviously, the Vancouver Canucks as well. They made some pretty big moves at the draft and, in free agency. So what do they look like? So let me know what you think of the Arizona Coyotes. I think they could be a wild card team, but I don't have them in the playoffs. Again, it's just very wide open. But thank you for watching this video here at Goal Line Hockey. Make sure to give this video a thumbs up and a subscribe. Thank you for watching, and have a good day.